Good evening, classmate. Let's bow down our head and feel the presence of the Lord. In the name of the Father, and the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Amen. Lord, thank you for this day that you have given to us. Thank you for all the blessings that you showered upon us. Lord, as we do our review, please guide my classmates and also our reviewer. And forgive us also our sins. And this was in Jesus' name we pray. Amen. In the name of the Father, and the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Amen.
Yeah, thank you for that prayer, Jerome. Good evening. Apologies for the delay. So let me continue. Was it last night? Was it last night, Jen? I forgot.
Opo.
Yesterday, no? Meron. So we will continue with the AICP. Again, the context is AICP, so American Institute of Certified Planners. We will just draw from the test taking strategies that we can get there. So we can strengthen our critical thinking skills. Let me start with, okay, just a moment. I'll share my screen. All right, okay. We'll go to, so, okay. Let me know if you're seeing it. Nakikita, Jen?
Yes po.
So we are now uh, in that, saan na tayo? 32. Was it 32, right?
Opo.
Hmm. Okay. So let me read that first. Okay. The problem is the mayor asked the planning director to make planning decisions that promote job growth in the local economy. A metric that you plan to use to forecast the resulting economic growth in your community for specific planning decision is a blank, blank, blank. Okay. Is it LQ? Is it benefit cost analysis, multiplier, cost effective analysis? So even if this is a US context, I think we can still answer. So let's try analyzing the problem. So, okay. We will spot let's do let's go back to the problem, the mayor. So it's the mayor. The mayor asked the planning director. So there are two characters there. But you don't need really to do this one na sobrang detailed because you need to answer uh, a problem at least within 30 seconds. So we'll just try to strengthen our critical thinking skills. So the mayor asked the planning director to make planning decisions. Okay, so there are keywords here that promote job growth. So if you're really familiar with this, with ABCD, and makaka-answer ka kaagad. So, that promote job growth in the local economy, okay? So, a metric that you plan to use to forecast the resulting, okay, to forecast the resulting economic growth in your community for specific planning decision is anyone can, make a to answer. You can just unmute if you can, because um you're being asked which tool helps you estimate or project economic growth and job creation. So it's all about jobs that should be created, and about promoting job growth as a result of your planning decision. So that's the core objective. So okay, when you analyze the question, uh, we can do that one by one, because LQ, for example, location quotient is used to identify the concentration. Okay? So, di ba, when we get LQ is greater than 1, and then it's it is it indicates concentration. Okay? So this is concentration or specialization. So indicative siya of these concepts. So pag sinabing ganyan, and then it also indicates export, 'di ba? Export based economy. So that's LQ. So if it's lower than 1, and then it indicates that it's the local yung it's not export. So it can only take care of the local economy. So we can also say this is basic. Okay. Basic, and then pag less than 1, then it's non-basic sector. Parang ganun, ano? Now we go to benefit cost analysis, that here it compares total expected benefits to total expected cost of a project. So it's very literal that especially if the question is pointing to that particular answer, and you should know that madali lang answeran yun, ano? Because you can get from the word, from the term itself. You are comparing total expected benefits to total expected cost of a project, and it's a tool that's appropriate for prioritizing investment, and also but not focused on jobs or economic growth forecasting. So definitely, maybe we can already do this. And then later, we will decide. But di ba, yung natin is how to eliminate when we are quite sure already of the answer that we need to eliminate that. For multiplier, economic multipliers estimate the total economic impact. So it means that when you are analyzing, for example, a particular province or municipality compared to the sector in the parent LGU, which is the province, di ba? Municipality vis-a-vis province. And so if LQ equals 1.6, and then it indicates that it is an export sector, export-based economy. And then if it's less than 1, it means that it is below, or it is weaker than the parent economy, or the parent than the economy of the parent LGU. So dito, here in multiplier, it is like if one manufacturing job creates 3 total jobs, so the multiplier is 3. Parang ganun. So if it's an export, in the export sector or export economy, and therefore for each job that you create under that sector, it impacts the non-basic, which means that in the locality alone. So hindi siya lalabas, 'di ba? So it means that you are creating total jobs, and then there's also a formula for multiplier, and we're not yet in that topic, so we will have a dedicated lecture on multiplier, LQ, dadaanan ulit natin. Although for those who have been attending since 2024, already they can already answer this kasi meron na akong lecture in the past. So it's about jobs. So this is the correct answer, di ba? Now, I already mentioned about that's about job creation. And then cost effectiveness analysis, it compares cost with non-monetary outcomes. For example, emissions reduced, so mga ganon. So cost effectiveness analysis, or how many lives were saved because of this intervention. So it's not directed, or it's not about the economic or job growth forecasting. So a cost effective analysis. So I hope you can remember that, and I hope that you can, when you encounter a question like this about job growth, so I hope you will remember that it's about the multiplier, okay? But location quotient, I already mentioned about location quotient being indicative of the concentration or specialization that we have a formula of LQ, di ba? Employment in the smaller jurisdiction, or the smaller LGU divided by the employment in the parent LGU. So because we are concerned about um, the strength of that economy, either it exceeds that one of the parent LGU. So it does not point out, or it does not identify how many jobs are created because of that sector. And it is the multiplier's job, or it is the multiplier's role. So in 32, the answer is letter C. Okay, so but if you're answering and you don't have any idea about this one, and so that's our concern, right? Because this test taking strategy is all about having a hint, or even if you're not really familiar with all these concepts, then you can still answer through elimination. So kapag kayo yung mag-a-answer, and of course jobs dito sa benefit cost analysis or cost benefit, you can already eliminate this. So you are left with 3. And then if you know that location quotient, or you're familiar that, and you remember during your board exam, I mean, kapag nagtatake na kayo ng board exam, and you can remember very well that, and you're quite sure that location quotient is about determining exports, or if non-export sector. So it's not really about job creation. Then you can eliminate this. So dalawa na lang, between multiplier and not, for example, you're not really sure about the answer that it's multiplier, then you can skip first and go to letter D, cost effectiveness. So cost effectiveness, ibig sabihin, if you take that literally, it's a tool to determine how cost effective the project is. So makikita mo doon, so if you apply intelligent guess, or intelligent guessing as a in that particular time, then you can eliminate that actually, kasi pwede mo rin siyang you can analyze that, you can decide that, all right, I can eliminate letter D, because if I try to interpret that, cost effective analysis is about analyzing how cost effective that uh, that intervention is. Okay, so kapag you are already determined to eliminate these 3, and wag na kayong don't waste time, and you answer letter C. Okay? So we go to 33, the Disaster Mitigation Act of 2000. So this is US. And we have an equivalent, di ba? Pero wag niyo manong isipin when you are answering a question and it's not really in the Philippine context, don't try very hard unless it is necessary, or it's not necessary for you to think about the equivalent in the Philippine context, because probably it will make you answer quicker kapag isipin niyo yung Philippine context, di ba? Uh, but anyway, if we take it as it is, like, di ba, I always advise that it should be, don't overthink and don't really extend the variables. You just have to um, look into the question and the choices. And one to kapag ka may Roman numeral 1, 2, 3, 4, so makikita mo yan, it means that meron pa siyang kasunod na clustering of answers. So that makes it yeah, a bit complex. Okay? And so pwede rin, while before you read, you can already inspect, okay, they are hazards. So pwede rin yun na technique, no? Oh, this is are all hazards. And then you can proceed with the question and then try to encircle or any symbol that you want to use. You can already spot the keywords. Okay, the Disaster Mitigation Act of 2000 required local governments, okay, local governments to address potential hazards. So, true enough, di ba? Hazards kasi yung mga choices. In a hazard mitigation plan, so it also involves the hazards in a plan. So, parang ganun. In order to remain eligible to receive certain federal funds. Okay, there's another variable about money. To receive, but ano yung context dito? To receive certain federal funds before and following federally declared disasters. So what does it mean? And then you continue. Your coastal community has adopted such a plan in the safety element of your general plan, and it addresses one to the, but you need to cluster, but there's a need to cluster the answers, diba? Now, let's see, for example, for number one, the natural hazards. If because you're asking, it's asking for your the answer. Your coastal community has adopted such a plan in the safety element of your general plan. So, but and it addresses one. So you think so we need to include that? Because what are the natural hazards? What are the natural hazards? So we have earthquakes, diba? So earthquakes. What else? Sorry, pangit yung answer. Yung ano ko, yung... Let me check this position ng iPad. We can also have typhoons here. Okay. And floods, etc. Okay. So if you have this as natural hazards, then we can consider one. Okay. We can consider one. So whether you have eliminated one or not, or considered it, you need to go immediately to the clustering. Okay. Here. Kasi it will matter eh. So one is being considered. Kapag ka walang one, then you can start eliminating. Because you considered eh. Diba? But, you see, there are three answers that have remained. Pero kung walang one yung iba, and then we can already spot the answer, diba? But it means we need to continue. So, we continue with two man-made hazards. Do you think so we should include that? Because what are the man-made hazards? For example, we have industrial accidents, right? So we can include that man-made. And then we can also include, for example, oil spills. So, I mean, it's also part of the, and then we can also include infrastructure failure, parang ganon. So, at least you have already idea, and you can go on and on, but you don't need, you don't need a number of basta meron ka ng idea what those man-made hazards are. So you think so it should be included and it can address that? If yes, okay. So 1 and 2 are there. So kapag okay, in A, na-eliminate na natin yun. But in B, may 1 and 2, so it's still alive. But in C, wala namang 2, so we can eliminate. But this one, it's still alive, di ba? Pero, 1 and 2, 1 and 2, so 3 and 4, nandun pa din. So we need to go farther kasi meron pang dalawang natira. Fiscal responsibility for disasters, or you can go, kapag hindi ka sigurado, you can proceed to 4. But for 3, fiscal responsibility for disaster, yun nga alam mo, pag all are supposed to be part of the correct answer, that's the hardest because it means that you need to proceed further. Okay, yun yung tandaan ninyo. So for 3, yeah, fiscal responsibility means that it's part of local resilience and continuity, it's also important in pre-disaster recovery planning, like because we need to do budgets, we need to think about insurance or risk transfer, mga ganon. And so it's still part, di ba? It's still part. And then for 4, no new development, okay? It says here, it's a long sentence, no new development in low-lying, in environmental sensitive coastal areas. So what does it mean? So it gets to be long sentence there, that it means that land use restrictions are standard tools in hazard mitigation planning to reduce exposure. But you see, it's a positive statement. No new development in low-lying environmental sensitive coastal areas. Even if it's a no-brainer actually that to decide that it is alive. So it means that the correct answer is all of the above. And the all of the above there is here in letter D. Okay, mahirap mag-analyze no? But if you are quick, makita mo na you can answer quickly pag nasanay. So it means that when preparing for the board exam, mas maraming nabasa. Sino yung pinakamaraming nabasa? Sino yung madaming na-practice? Longer time in practicing. Sila yung magtatap. Ganun yon. Okay? So I'd like to proceed. I can entertain questions next time. So we can go to, this is a very interesting question for 34. So super black, it is actually a technical term, a planning term. Super black is a concept most often associated. So hindi niya binigay because that's the one that it's asking in the question. Is most often associated with blah 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 blah. Now we go back to that question that it's a super black. So it's a concept already. It already mentioned that in the question that it is a concept. But whose concept and which concept? But that one, whose concept and which concept, is a combination of a name, who thought about that, who theorized that, and what was that theory all about. And again, okay, it is a clustering again of answers there. So it means that, okay, we need to go one by one again, and it's good to go back and review again about Le Corbusier, etc. So a super black actually sa sige, not really to analyze the question, but I would like to, okay, to provide already insight about super black. When you say super black, it is a large urban black that limits vehicular traffic. That limits vehicular traffic. Okay, what else? It's it's bounded by arterial roads and contains internal pedestrian paths, green space, or cul-de-sacs. It also minimizes traffic conflict and separates cars from pedestrians, which is, a key principle in modernist planning. So, do you have idea already? Bound by arterial roads. Dagdagan ko yung isusulat ko. Bound by arterial roads. And then, it also contains internal pedestrian. Sige, let's see. Paths, etc. So at least you already have idea, no, what is a super block. But we it's not as easy as that. That it's not a remembering. It's not a remembering exercise like the first um the first level, the easiest level in Bloom's taxonomy. Uh, and so we need to, okay, for purposes of discussion, or knowing again who they are and what have they contributed. So Le Corbusier, he had this Ville Regius. Do you remember? But Regius, Radiant City. But if you remember, di ba? So he advocated for large housing blocks. Okay? So normally mas ano to eh. Oops, sorry. Let's see. Okay, will reduce. It's still ganon, Radiant City, but it's more popular. Will reduce. So this is letter U, okay? Like a reduce, parang ganon, ano? He advocated for large housing blocks. Separated by green open spaces. Okay, open spaces. So you can imagine already, right? And surrounded by wide roads. Okay? So yun yung si Le Corbusier, by wide roads. Now, for Clarence Perry, neighborhood unit, okay? Neighborhood unit. So, do you still remember Clarence Perry regarding his neighborhood unit? So he's focused more on community-centered design. So, community-centered design. Okay, with schools, do you remember? With schools, and parks within walking distance. Okay, so at least alam na ninyo, you can imagine Clarence Perry, di ba? Within walking distance. Now, so the block size and internal orientation of the unit also share characteristics with the super block, particularly the reduction of through traffic. So that it also mirrors, or it also the characteristics of Clarence Perry's neighborhood unit. It share characteristics with the super block. Okay? Particularly the reduction of, sige, tuloy ko si Clarence Perry. Reduction of through traffic. Pag ganon, through traffic. Okay. So please remember that they share similarities and they share characteristics. The neighborhood and the radiant city, or the will reduce. So if it shares characteristic, then it is also associated with the super black. Okay. So check. Okay. How about Radburn? It is not name of a person, but Radburn, New Jersey. Okay, Radburn, New Jersey. It is a model city. I'd like to saan ko kaya yan, Titiana? Uh, Here. Okay. Yes. Sorry for the topsy-turvy presentation here. Okay. Radburn City is a model city. Of what? What does it represent for super black application? Okay. For super black application. And then it it designed with cul-de-sac. Okay, designed with cul-de-sac. Cul-de-sacs. Interior greenways and blah blah blah. Interior greenways and pedestrian underpasses. So it pioneered actually Radburn in Radburn, New Jersey. It pioneered the super black plus separation of modes approach in practice. So anyway, in theory and history, we will go back to that. Just to make sure that you you are brought there again. You are reviewing again these people. Nadaanan ninyo, but probably you know them, you know their concept, but because the question is asking about super black, so who among them and which theory have they theorized, and which are among the theories are associated with super black. So the last one here, so check na naman ulit yan because it mentioned about, specifically about super black. Now, 4 is urban renewal public housing projects. Urban renewal public housing projects, especially in mid-20th century, public housing projects use the super black form with towers in the park, large uninterrupted blocks, and segregated vehicular access. So again, it's associated with super block. Pero kapag hindi mo ito and you're just looking at the and then and you look at the choices here. Paano kaya yun? So it could be very challenging if you don't remember, if you cannot imagine the concept of the choices. So kahit itong for urban renewal public housing project, you may disregard that and you can just answer 1, 2, wala namang 1, 2, 3 dyan, So everything there, if you already checked number 1, and so Lou Corbusier's Radiant City, let's see, kapag dadaanin natin sa answer, and not really about the concept itself. And so pag wala si 1, and then you can already eliminate that. But you see, they are all alive here. Okay. If you said, okay, Clarence Perry's neighborhood unit did mention, or it has same characteristic, or it shares characteristics with the super black, and then dalawa na yung check. And kapag walang 2 dito, walang 2 here, you can already eliminate here. And then look, you can also eliminate this one, right? Kasi wala naman 2 dyan eh. And so, iwag mo nang patagalin. Answer number, the third D. Okay? So, there are many ways of answering correctly, answering strategically. Kapag hindi mo maisip ito, if you're not really very familiar with the concepts, proceed to elimination here. That okay, one and two, I'm quite, for example, you talk to yourself during the board exam. Normally, ganun naman, di ba? Oh, okay, one and two are part, but in case there are answers here in the cluster that it did miss the one and two, and therefore A, wala siyang 2, and letter B, wala din siyang 2. And then for C, wala siyang 1, but I considered 1 as a as associated with super black. And so naka-eliminate na ako ng tatlo. And so don't hesitate to answer letter D, okay? Many ways really. Kaya you need practice. So I'll just erase this again. It's too small. The space is not really okay. Then we have this. So again, all are interesting here. It's AICP, and I time and again I remind you that we are our Philippine planning is drawn from American planning, and it's inspired by American planning. Okay, 35. So right to farm laws. Okay. Oops. Does not have. Bakit kaya, no? Okay. Ayan. Right to farm laws are typically about. So you need to select again from the four. Pero wala na siyang ano no. So we need to answer straightforwardly. Because for 35, okay, for 35, government taking. So we need to also, actually, mas madaling mag-answer pala doon sa ano, no? Doon sa clustering, yung dalawang layer. Because we can really leverage elimination. But here, diretso eh. So, right to farm laws actually it's a legal concept. So that's number one. And then it's related to land use conflict, uh, land use conflict resolution. So we need to resolve land use conflict here. It solves land use conflicts. Okay. Also, especially where urban expansion meets, urban expansion, and then you are faced with this kind of problem that you are, or the urban expansion and rural agricultural land. So you are crossing this one, or okay. For example, you need to establish, or you need to identify in the agricultural land, or those lands or that were zoned as agricultural, and you need to meron kang brilliant idea on memorial park, for example. Memorial park in an agriculture, yun yung lupa mo is meron kang agricultural land like 10 hectares, and you thought about wala namang memorial park sa LGU namin, and so it could be very good to establish a memorial park. And so what are the steps involved in agricultural land? Do you think you can do that kaagad? Isa lang ba yan na process? Or you need to of course you need to reclassify, di ba? Especially so that when you are faced with like that, when you are a planner, okay, so reclassification, you need to do reclassification, di ba? And you also need to rezone. Okay, change the zoning or update the zoning zoning ordinance. So, ang dami. So, meron, siyempre, you need to do the Sangguniang Bayan, di ba, SB, to reclassify. Of course, they will not just, they will not reclassify na ganun-ganun lang, ano? So, there are criteria to meet here. So, that's the right to farm laws, and a lot is going on here. But just to give you an overview about right to farm laws. Now, I would like to proceed with the answers. Um, but right to farm laws are, these laws are enacted to protect existing agricultural operations, okay, especially in the Philippines. Pero wag nating isipin na Philippine context ka agad ito. Don't jump in to that kind of answering as a strategy unless otherwise called for. Parang gano'n na. Yun na lang yung pag-asa mo. Parang gano'n. But generally here, because it's a US, context, so these laws are enacted to protect existing agricultural operations from nuisance lawsuits, especially when new residents move into rural areas and begin complaining about farming activities, like about noise, about smell, dust, pesticides. So those type of activities, and so you can invoke right to farm laws. Okay, so ganun yun. But I'd like to go one by one with so they're typically about what? So number one, we go it's government takings ba? But government takings occur when government actions result in the loss of private property use. And so the main the matter here, or the concern, is it requires compensation under the Constitution. Parang ganun. American, again, US context, not directly related to right to farm. Okay, so it's the when so it's government action. The government action. So this occurs, okay, takings occur when government actions result in the loss of private property use. So property use. So yun yung ginagamit. So not really related to right to farm. So we can eliminate that. Pero wala naman tayong strategy na except to think about, okay, typically about what? And then you proceed to letter B. So coming to the nuisance, I already mentioned earlier that government takings, or right to farm laws are enacted to protect existing agricultural operations from nuisance lawsuits. So, ibig sabihin may magko-complain about your activities, okay? But they came to the nuisance eh. Kumbaga, sila yung later na nag-reside doon sa area mo, and they move, for example, that suddenly there was a subdivision that have established into your rural area, into the rural area, and then naka-establish sila, and then begin complaining about your farming activities, like when you are, because it's causing bad smell, etc., and it's causing too much noise to them. So and then nagdemanda sila, so that's a lawsuit. But the type of lawsuit is nuisance lawsuits. So you invoke that right to. So coming to the nuisance, I already provided the answer. Sila yung nag-approach eh. So coming to the nuisance means that it protects farmers from complaints when the nuisance already existed. So, we're talking about two types of nuisance. Meron tayong public nuisance, and then meron ding private, okay? So, that new resident chose to move near the activity. So, right to farm laws codify the principle if the farm was there first, the new neighbors can't sue it for being a farm. Okay? So, that's the, kasi nauna naman kami di ba? So, unless it is not, it's a private nuisance pagka ganun. But if it's causing it was categorized as a public nuisance, then you have a problem. But they cannot, but because you came first, you held that activity first. Sila yung lumapit sa maglalaban kayo sa court. So you have a nuisance lawsuit, and of course, then if it was established to be a public nuisance, and then natalo ka because it's causing too much ganito, and even if it's already causing a lot of nuisance to the new residents, dinagdagan mo pa yung activity mo, and so you're not allowed to do that. You have a case, and you have but you will be compensated if if they win. You need to be compensated, and especially if the court directs you to stop your operations. And so it's the complainant would have to pay you because you were stopped by the court to stop your operations, and blah blah blah. Madami pa siyang there are many features of this, but it's coming to the nuisance. So I hope you already know by this time ano yung coming to the nuisance. And then, but I will continue that, although I already mentioned that that's the correct answer. But the main goal of this review class is for us na maintindihan natin lahat yung mga ABCD, gano'n, the options. For letter C kasi, combating urban sprawl. You know what's urban sprawl, isn't it? That all right to farm laws are not regulatory tools to stop sprawl. That's done via urban growth boundaries, zoning, ganyan, when you want to combat urban sprawl, or land conservation policies, for example. So, if you're not really very sure about coming to the nuisance, and so right to farm laws is probably you can have idea that it is rural, di ba? And if it's rural, probably there's about farming. So, parang ganon, mag-isip. So, combating urban sprawl may not really be aligned with what it's asking about in number 35. And so, before you can proceed to the coming to the nuisance or decide that that's the correct answer, and you can already eliminate combating urban sprawl. But there's still letter B. So dalawa pa rin yung tinitignan mo dito na coming to the nuisance and agricultural inverse condemnation. Agricultural inverse condemnation. So probably, oops, what's this? So it's so dangerous to to make a guess na hindi mo naman iniisip. So if you're not sure, you skip and go back, and you need more time to ponder about that. But if you're very close to answering coming to the nuisance, why not? Diba? Lalo na pag nakinig ka tonight, diba? And so for letter for for that one, agricultural, ano ba yung agricultural pa na yan, diba? Agricultural inverse condemnation. Someone know about that? Meron bang nakakaalam? Okay. Um, agricultural inverse condemnation. So if it's actually a legal claim by a property owner that, so who are the owners? Of course, farmer or landholder. So he argues that government action has effectively taken or damaged their land without formally exercising eminent domain, providing just compensation. And so inverse condemnation occurs when the government does not formally expropriate land. So, 'di ba, in the Philippines. So, ako naman yung nag-overthink na ngayon, no? So, in the Philippines, we have expropriation, which means that uh, ano to, yeah, when hmm, I was lost about this one. But I would like to go back to inverse condemnation occurs when the government does not formally expropriate land, but its action results in a loss of use, loss of value, or profitability of that land, particularly in agriculture where land productivity is essential. Okay? Uh, and so in the US, to succeed in an inverse condemnation claim, the agricultural landowner typically must show, uh, parang ipoprove ng farmer that there was a diminished value or loss of productive use, and then the farmer will also express the lack of formality, that there was no compensation, there was parang walang due process. But the due process that it's talking here is about expropriation process. Hindi na dumaan sa expropriation process. Another thing is it is a government action. So yung agricultural inverse condemnation is about expropriation. Okay, so it has nothing to do with right to farm laws. Okay, uh, no expropriation. Okay, no formal expropriation process. Okay. But in Philippine context naman, so just to make sure na we will proceed to the next item without myself explaining on this one, because constructive, 'di ba, meron tayong sinasabing constructive expropriation that refers to to an action of government that that took place effectively, um, without filing an expropriation case or paying just compensation. There are many cases, case law or jurisprudence of, for example, um, meron yung, yeah, City of Manila versus Chinese community. But I'm not sure. I will not be dealing with this jurisprudence. But in Philippine context, in agricultural cases, inverse condemnation may apply if, for example, number one, government projects cause land salinization or nag-degrade yung land ng farmer because of a government project. Ganun. And then, what else? Because of the project, like irrigation, like, alimbawa, Sinia, di ba? So, yung irrigation canals flooded cropland repeatedly. So, these things are, you can, it will mean inverse condemnation. Okay. So answer. Okay. It's a long explanation, but just to make sure that we're going back and we know exactly what those terms are, ito, not just answering it, kasi kapag iiwanan natin ito, and I did not give you any idea about all these things, then it it may confuse you, right? So answer is uh coming to the nuisance. So you understand already right to farm laws. Now, for 36, the utopianism theory, okay, of planning is often linked to works by. So you are seeing the theories, thinkers. So Le Corbusier, was it Daniel Barnham, Frank Lloyd Wright, Charles Lindblom? So meron naman tayong ganito. Okay? Utopian. Of course, it's ano ba yung utopian sa atin? What does it mean about utopian? So you remember Le Corbusier, di ba? And then, sino ko ito? Frank Lloyd. So, I'm sure you still remember in your history, okay? History and theory about all these people here. Sa Utopian ba si Le Corbusier, Daniel Barnham, Frank Lloyd Wright, Charles Lindblom? So, 1 minute break. I'll just drink water. Okay, just a moment. I'm back. Thank you. Okay. Um, Le Corbusier, I'd like to write siguro, no? Is father, okay? Father of modernist. Pero it's also normal that when you see pabalik-balik lang yung questions din, in the board exam, they are interrelated, they are interconnected. So if you cannot find the answer, if you cannot answer first in prior questions, then you can skip that. And then if there are already questions like this, and then it becomes clearer to you, and you can go back if you were successful in answering succeeding questions that are related to prior questions that you have not answered quite, you're not sure about those answers. Okay, so Le Corbusier is di ba meron yung he proposed the radiant city, di ba? Radiant city or reduce, will reduce. Ano ba yon? High-rise towers. Okay, high-rise towers. Kasi iba yung super block yung yan sila natin. But if we try to remember Le Corbusier, high-rise tower in park-like, okay? In park-like settings, okay? So, and a lot more. So, he did emphasize about sunlight, air, ganon, and order. So, utopian. So, hindi pa natin ma-answeran So, how about Daniel Barnham? City Beautiful movement. So, he's located in this movement. City, okay. Okay, City Beautiful movement. And you would also remember Daniel Barnham for, the plan of Chicago. Okay. And then, so meron yung, naalala ninyo, he believed in beautification and monumental design to improve civic life. And it's an aesthetic and social utopia. So he's known for, see, Daniel Barnham is about really, because of that concept, should be aesthetic. Yeah, he is concerned about aesthetics and social utopia. And he said, make no little plans. Do you remember the quote? Make no little plans. Tandaan ninyo ito. Make no little plans. That a quote from Daniel Barnham. So, uh, it's alive. Two is alive here. A radiant city, di ba? Radiant. So, it's also utopian. Park-like setting, yung mga ganon. So, it's also utopian. Now, 1 and 2 is there. So, yung mga walang 1, you can already eliminate. Yung mga walang 2, you can already eliminate. Pero it's alive, it's alive, it's alive. Now, we can proceed, lalo na ito si Frank Lloyd Wright. Even if I don't do this one, like ganitong analysis, I can already answer because you have to be very familiar with all of them. You know that Frank Lloyd Wright, he created the Broadacre City, di ba? Ano yung Broadacre? Broadacre City, sorry. Lumulundag na. City concept. Okay. Broadacre City concept, it's the centralized, individualistic vision of urban life with each family on 1 acre. Kaya 1 acre, Broadacre. 1 acre. Family, di ba? Per family. So, also he rejected dense urbanism, but still utopian in scale and social ambition. So it's full, it's so, ang tawag mo to? So it's so grand. And these are characteristics of being, utilizing utopianism theory. So if 1, 2, 3 is alive here, 1, 2, 3. So, pabubura na ito kasi wala siyang 3. And B is still there. Ito naman, 1, 2, 3, it's still there. So, meron pa rin yan. But you need to do 4. And Charles Lindblom actually he is associated with incrementalism. Increment, okay? Incrementalism. And by the word itself, increment, and the theory of modeling through. Theory of modeling through. It's so difficult to write here. Modeling through. Okay. He actually, this one, the modeling through theory is a critic of utopian rationalism. So he's against, Charles Lindblom was against utopian, okay, rationalism. So, ala siya talaga. So, 1, 2, 3 lang. Okay, so I will finalize this. 1, 2, 3. Lang. Okay. So, we have 3 more. Okay. Anong oras na? 11. It's still very early. You are the planner. Okay, you are the planner for Newton City. Who is responsible for converting the cities, converting current zoning, current zoning code, daming keywords, no? Into a form-based code. Patay, di ba? So, meron kang current zoning code into a form-based code. So, ibig sabihin, hindi siya form-based code yung nauna. And components of the code you are developing contain standards addressing tuk, 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 tuk. So, what's really the key objective or the core objective here? Oh, by the way, before I proceed there, utopian thinkers dream big, okay? Make no little plans, sabi ni, according to Daniel Barnham. So they dream big and plan big, and if they design entire cities from scratch with harmony and idealism, they are utopian. If they prefer small tweaks and they're more realistic, they're not utopian thinkers. Okay? Um, what is utopian? Utopia. Di ba? So think about Lou Corbusier, Barnum, not Henry Wright, sino na yan? Frank Lloyd Wright, di ba yung mga may helicopter, mga ganon. Each family should have helicopter. And so, but not Lindblom, okay? So, 38 is what? Ano yung 38 na? Is it 38? Asan yung 37? Sorry So, I need to do 37 kasi I wrote in the space of 37. According to Harvey Moloch, likely the most important factor affecting the shape of the city. Okay. So is it public planning? Is it real estate interest, transportation improvements? Is it local banking interest? So, okay. Public planning, is it really? It depends on the perspective, but Harvey, nakalagay the name. So if general sana yan, could be easier to select. But if you don't know him, it will be a big problem. So, but you know, Harvey Moloch is someone. Okay, he had this parang he authored or he wrote in his book that meron siyang that it's actually the landowners and not planners that are shaping the map. Parang ganon. So he has that particular theory. And so, but because of that, you can already answer real estate interests. So is more on, okay, up. So public planning here in this particular context, while planners play a role, Moloch argues they're often secondary or co-opted by growth coalitions. Also, Moloch considered itong transportation improvements as affecting the shape of the city. He regarded that infrastructure follows where growth interest want development, not the other way around. I will repeat that. Infrastructure follows where growth interests want development. So it's not the one that dictates the shape of the city. So, and then the local banking interest is it's still part of the picture, but more according to Moloch, um, he, I mean, Moloch was focused on land-based coalitions more than financial institutions. So he did not really uh, pay attention to the local banking interest as the one shaping the city, but it's the real and real estate, because according to actually Harvey Moloch was a sociologist. He's known for his growth machine theory. Growth machine theory. Okay. What is this? In this theory, he argues that cities are shaped not primarily by planners, and I mentioned already, or the public, sabi niya. Not the planners, not the public, but by coalitions of local elites. And who are they? These are the real estate developers, the landowners, media, chambers of commerce, etc. And these coalitions, according to Moloch, work to increase the exchange value of land, influencing zoning, infrastructure, and growth policies. He also argued that urban space is shaped by the desire to promote economic growth, not necessarily public interest. Okay, so that's the answer. 38. Siya is a matter of remembering talaga. So, um, now I would like to go back with number 38. Okay, number 38 na tayo. You are the planner. So I already read that one. But the key concept there is form-based codes. What are these? Number one, form-based codes regulate physical form. Okay, physical form. Regulates physical form. Also, so what are the physical form? Okay, buildings, streets, public spaces, over land use function. Over land use function. Okay. So parang versus land use. And then it is also focused on placemaking. Okay. Still form-based placemaking. What is placemaking? Okay, the relationship between building facades and the public realm. And then they are supposed to be visual, visual and spatial. Visual and spatial or spatial. Okay. So it means that it consists of height, frontage, transparency, street section, etc. So it is also a reaction to traditional zoning, which is based heavily on use separation. Di ba yung sa land use natin, we identify and establish commercial land use, residential, industrial, etc. So that's the segregation or separation of uses. But for form based, so it's this one, and so it says it regulates physical form over land use function. Okay, now so what's the answer of this? Building configuration and features, yes, that's based on the definition I provided you. Yes, building configuration and features. And then um building type and frontage, I also mentioned about that one. Public spaces also, because public spaces, what are these? Street sections, plazas, parks, street furniture, landscaping. Yeah, and so it's also correct. Now, because it is versus the land use function, and it is actually form-based is reacting to traditional zoning, which is based heavily on use separation. So land use is not the definition of form-based, isn't it? So kapag ka check mo yung one, halimbawa yung one, walang one ito sa B, then you can already, but it's still there, okay? And then meron Meron 2. So, may 2 dyan, may 2. So, you can already. Okay. So, you are left with C and D. However, because there's public use, so public spaces, and so this is the only one that completes it. Ay, sorry. 1, 2, 3. Ay, wala namang, parang mali ano. Land use. So, wala naman dito yung sandali. 1, 2. Let me check. Okay. Let me check from the answer sheet. My answer sheet kasi siya. Number 38. Okay, number 38. Oops. It's still D, ano? D. It means that 1, 2, 3, 4. It's still, you are the planner for Newton City who's responsible for converting the city's current zoning code into a form-based code. Components of the code you are developing contain standards addressing 38 pala, 38. 38 is D eh. So, we cannot, if I follow, of course, we need to follow also AICP, ano? I stand corrected here. Let's see. Because the answer is here. So, the 4 there is, I still need to include land use. Components of the code you are developing contain standards addresses. So, it's a combination, ano? It's a combination of form-based at saka, it's a combination of spatial and land use, a combination of physical form. Oops, nabura ko. It's a combination of physical form and land use. So, I stand corrected there. Okay. So this is the answer. So that was provided by the AICP. You are the planner for Newton City, who is responsible for converting the city's current zoning code. So this one is land use. But it did not say that it is a land use. It's the traditional land use into a form-based code. So components of the code you are developing. Okay. Components of the code you are developing contain standards. So we still need to include land use. Because of this, because of the last sentence here, components of the code, okay, you are developing contain standards. So it should also, it should still consider land use, okay? So we go to 39. So if you encounter question like this, and for example, so this is also a lesson for me. I already said yes here, and here. And then wala namang, so for example, I will not consider this one. So dapat ang answer is 1, 2, 3, but I cannot find 1, 2, 3 there, and so there's something wrong with my answer. Okay? Wala namang 1, 2, 3 doon. And so because I need to consider public spaces, so there must be 3. And this is the only item that has 3. And so, okay, I made a mistake. This D contains 3, but I did not consider 4. And so, and then you go back to the problem. You go back to the problem the way, if you, like myself, if you made a mistake about that, and you go back to normally, the last, the last sentence in the problem, components of the code. you are developing. Okay? It did not say just the form-based code, but you are converting the city's current zoning code into form-based code. But it did not really emphasize that one, just the form-based code. And so it said components of the code you are developing contain standards addressing, okay? And we still need the land use because all developments take place, all developments take place on land. Di ba? Hindi naman siya nagfo-float. And so we still need this standard, okay? All developments take place on land. 39. Johnson County is proposing. County is proposing to develop a major new airport. But it's not just a major new airport but it should be, it's proposing to develop a major new airport near the Johnsonville city limits. Okay. So you are in charge as a planner, di ba? So you are in charge of revising the counties. So itong county na ito, no? The county's comprehensive plan to address airport safety and compatible land uses. So safety and land use. Okay. Now, the typically incompatible land uses near the end of the airport's new runways would be. So, yan. So, what do we need to analyze there? What do we need to analyze? So, the area, okay, the area near the end of runways is highly sensitive due to, okay, I'll read again. The typically incompatible land uses near the end of the airport's new runways would be, okay, residential, place of worship, golf courses, open mall, grasslands. So let's evaluate that. But we cannot really choose unless we are sure about the question. And because you are revising the county's comprehensive plan to address airport safety and compatible land uses, so the typically incompatible land uses near the end of the airports would be blah, blah, blah. Okay. Meron runway in the US concept, we have the runway protection zones, okay? Runway protection zones. Okay, maybe RPZ. So just to make sure we're all on the same page, and runway protection zones and safety compatibility. So dalawa yan. Safety, ito siya. So yung compatible land uses niya sa yung airport safety. So safety compatibility. Okay. The area near the end of the runways is highly sensitive due to aircraft takeoff and landing pads, diba? And then also the noise impact and also safety zones in case of overshoot or undershoot. So there are the terminologies like that. How about the land use? Land uses must minimize human occupancy. So you know that when you do airport planning, you minimize human occupancy. And of course, there are criteria, isn't it? The radius distance, ganon. And then we avoid or we limit structures that could obstruct airspace. So that's, land uses must also limit those structures. And then What else? Do you know that land uses also must avoid bird attracting features? So there are rational to that. So if we evaluate each option, residential development is highly incompatible, diba? Residential development. We are putting people as a planner. We cannot really meron tayong criteria and we need to put people we don't need to put we avoid putting people at risk and subjects them to high noise levels. So it's highly incompatible. How about place of worship? Also, high occupancy use. Place of worship is a high occupancy use. So, especially during gatherings, so safety hazard, we consider the safety hazard due to crash risk, of course. And then golf course, isn't it? What do we need in golf courses? Um, yeah, adequate water supply and also, but water features attract birds also, and birds increase the bird strike risk. So those are some of the features of when we evaluate each option about golf courses. And then for open mode grasslands, it's actually compatible because there are no buildings, there's low human presence and no water bodies also. So often uses buffer zones in runway safety planning. So if you are answering that, uh, residential development, places of worship, golf courses, open mode grasslands. So what are the correct answers? Is it, let me check again the answers here. For number 39, it says it's letter C. So let's try to evaluate. These are the items that really not is difficult to understand within Philippine context. So 1, 2, and 3. 1, 2, and 3. So it means because it's asking about the typically incompatible. Diba? The typically incompatible land uses. Yun yung tinatanong sa question. Ito yung question niya. The typically incompatible land uses near the end of the airport's new runway would be. So only 4 is compatible. So that's what it is telling us now. That I at first golf courses I thought this one is compatible, but because it does not have any, but because of the water features of golf courses as being, birds are attracted to that, then it's in the US standards, it's incompatible. Okay, so there you go. 40, Orange County is quickly losing its prime agricultural lands. Okay, to where it's losing to new suburban development. So among the planning tools your planning director wishes to utilize to help protect agricultural lands is a TDR program. So actually we don't have really TDR, but we have equivalent, but it's kind of difficult to align because we don't have DTR. But just for the purpose of answering this, I will continue. The potential use of this tool for agricultural protection will likely involve you in a discussion of the legal principles established in So we cannot answer. We really cannot answer this because you're not familiar with that. Except this one. I'm not sure if I got it correctly that you are from that everyone should be familiar with Village of Euclid versus Ambler Realty, because that's the that's the okay, the first major zoning case that validated zoning as a use of police power, and it's universal. It's applied in Philippines because that's where we got also Euclidean, Village of Euclid, and after this landmark case, uh, then it gave birth to, sorry, it's not right, Euclidean, sorry, let me say. Hindi siya sumusulat. Okay. Euclidean zoning. Oops. Hindi siya sumusulat. Ay, no more. So it's stopping me, di ba? Not anymore. Ayun na. So it gave birth to Euclidean zoning. And what is that Euclidean zoning is the one that it's where the traditional zoning came from. So that was the jurisprudence. Okay, Village of Euclid versus Ambler Realty. That this was the first major zoning case that validated zoning as a use of police power. That when if I tell you about this case, yeah, it's the Village of Euclid. It's a suburb of Cleveland. It enacted one of the first comprehensive zoning ordinances in the U.S., dividing land into distinct use districts: residential, commercial, industrial. So, Ambler Realty yung kalaban dyan. Ambler Realty owned this much, like, I think it's 68 acres. Kasi this is a very this is a landmark case in zoning. It's a 68-acre tract that was partially zoned to exclude industrial uses. So Ambler sued, claiming the zoning um, reduced, claiming the zoning reduced the property's value and constituted a taking without due process. Remember yung taking kanina, no? So it should be government action. So the issue there is municipal zoning a valid exercise of police power, or does it constitute an unlawful taking? So the U.S. Supreme Court upheld the zoning ordinance, finding that uh, zoning should protect public health, safety, morals, welfare, and so it also held that the ordinance was not arbitrary or unreasonable, and that a substantial reduction in value does not automatically equate a taking. So this case set the precedent that zoning is a constitutional exercise of police power, and so it established now that what we're using now, okay, the traditional zoning, because this case actually established zoning as a legal and enforceable land use control, but does not support PDR directly. It's not the answer, but I just want to, I selected this case so that you would remember that it was now the Euclidean zoning that we're using, okay? Because of this jurisprudence, Village of Euclid versus Ambler Realty. But the answer there is what was the answer? Let me see. Number 40. So what we only have here is like an answer key, but it does not provide for the explanation. So 40 is D. Okay, 1 and 4. So ito, 1 and 4. So we will look into 1 and 4, the Penn Central Transportation Company versus the City of New York. So um it was actually ano ba yung Penn Central na yan? That Penn Central owned Grand Central Terminal. So it was a landmark building under New York City's landmarks preservation law. So the company proposed to build a 50-story office tower above the terminal to capitalize on unused air rights. So it's all about these air rights. And the Landmarks Commission in the US denied the proposal, citing the need to preserve the historic and aesthetic character of the terminal. So Penn Central sued, claiming the denial constituted a taking under the the Constitution of the U.S. And so that it has argued that it deprived them of reasonable economic use. And so the legal issue there was, did the denial of development rights without physical appropriation of property amount to an unconstitutional regulatory taking. So the Supreme Court, the US Supreme Court held against sa natalo si Penn Central Transportation. It ruled against Penn Central, stating that the landmark regulation did not constitute a taking. And so there were tests that were introduced by the court, by the U.S. court, and it called that test a three-factor balancing test. Economic impact, di ba? Because it is claimed that it um, it deprived them of the reasonable economic use. And then if there was the court also emphasized that Penn Central still had reasonable use of the terminal because still operating profitably as a rail station, and that the TDR allowed Penn Central to transfer unused development rights to nearby property. So yung it's like this. The TDR is something that when you want to preserve this space, you need you need to preserve that. In exchange, you can develop one area outside that the preservation area. So that's the concept. And so you can paano yung one, you can do it in another area. So in the Philippines, do we really meron tayong equivalent policy, like if it's I'm thinking about this. For example, in areas where we need to preserve like heritage area, parang ganun na, heritage area, but it's not really the one. Okay.
Nawala po si Ma'am Ann. Wait lang po.
So nawala ako dyan, no?
Opo.
But we still have them naman. So hindi pa rin sila nantok, no? But this is the last one naman. Just to of course this type of question will not be asked, and who knows, you will be interested to take AICP in the future. So it will also be good that you know those landmark cases that gave influence, you know, to what we do now in Philippines, like the Euclid, Village of Euclid versus sino na yan? Let me see. Ano ko lang ulit, ano? So I'll wrap up, or I'll wrap up my ano. Okay. Share. Saan na yan? Diyan nakikita. Nakita na ba? Hindi pa,
Loading
no?
po.
Ay, naglo-load. So,
Okay na po.
okay. All right. So, the TDR means transfer of development rights. Hindi na kasi magsusulat itong concrete. Asa na yan? TDR. Ayan ulit. Transfer of development rights. Transfer of development rights. Maganda ito sana eh. But we're not using it actually. Transfer of development rights, or the TDR. Okay? The TDR. Okay, but this TDR is protecting agricultural lands. So you protect the agricultural lands. Okay. So it is asking, so which among these landmark cases or the legal principles from this 1, 2, 3, 4, which legal principles from among these landmark cases will most likely be involved, sabi niya, on when you protect agricultural lands and when you use this instrument of TDR. So yun yung question kasi dyan. And so we can also tell that the TDR also is a market-based tool that you shift development potential from sending heirs. Merong dalawang, oops, okay, just to siguro mas maintindihan natin pag ganito. TDR, okay, there's a sending area. Sending area and receiving area. Okay? Send, receive. Okay. Receiving area. So, ganito yung concept ng TDR. So, the sending area there is farmland, for example. Ano? Farmland. Weathering heritage. Okay. Heritage zones. So, if this consists of this, you preserve that. But how can you preserve that? You will be incentivized by government when you preserve this and this. And if, for example, for farmland, you send that. So you are the sending area here. You send this, and so when you send to another area, you develop, it means you develop another area in place of this, just so you preserve this. And so it becomes what we call now the receiving area. And the receiving areas are the growth centers. So we can name this the growth centers. So you choose, okay. And so that's the key concept of PDRs. So it avoids takings claims by preserving landowners' economic value. So they're not taken, they're not taken and just transferred. Okay, so to the receiving area. Jen?
Hi, ma'am. Nawala po kayo kanina.
Oo nga. Actually I did not know na na-drain. Iba pala yung nakasaksak na gadget. So that's what was, yun yung nangyari, But anyway, that was the last explanation. Pero hindi ko siya natapos-tapos kasi nawala na yung, iba pala yung nakakonect. So I was using the iPad and then yung ano pala ang nakakonekta, yung laptop, no? So, now, anyway,
Sige po, sige po.
natawa.
Ito na lang po.
Okay, I'll just say, parang ano lang, conclusion na lang for that, um, sige, ito ba, nakikita na? Conclusion na lang, because that's the last problem anyway.
Apo.
Since I was talking about, di ba? I was talking about the sending area and the receiving area. And so, TDRs are legally supported by cases. So kaya meron yung mga cases dyan that balance property rights and um, government regulation. So, sabi ano, papapatay na naman yan. So, the answer there is, ano na yung answer kanina? Number one, Penn Central. So I already explained about Penn Central Transportation Company versus City of New York. So it's actually the most cited case in support of TDR programs because the court upheld New York City's landmark preservation law, and it was in this case where government introduced the concept that a TDR system provides a reasonable return and doesn't constitute a total taking naman. So um, and then the Spar Industries versus Del Webb development, it's not about PDR, but it's about the nuisance. Naalala ninyo, no? I mentioned about nuisance, coming to the nuisance, parang ganun, no? So it was Spar Industries was a nuisance case in Arizona about a cattle feedlot in a new residential development nearby. And so it invoked the right to farm and coming to the nuisance and not TDR. And then the third one is about zoning. Okay, the Village of Euclid, so it didn't reach a TDR. And the last one is a TDR, the Fred French Investing Company versus City of New York. If you notice, dalawang New York yun, ano, versus New York, where the taking case involves the taking case involves a parkland dedication where the court held that excessive restrictions without compensation can be a taking. So it supports the rationale for TDR to avoid unconstitutional takings and giving landowners an alternative mechanism. So yun na yung sinasabi ko kanina na sending area versus receiving area, na you transfer the development instead of using the goal is to preserve, but you can be incentivized because you preserve that, and you can use another area which is not fragile, or which is not yeah which is not you transfer it to an area that could be considered a growth center. So and so paano natin i-close ito that the French, so the answer now is 1 and 4. And so the rule there is if a regulation constitutes a taking, if it goes too far and the court considers economic impact and then the character of the government action also. And so for a terminal, it is still giving the owner of the terminal to use it. They could still be used profitably. And so development rights could be transferred to adjacent parcels as a TDR. So parang ganun. And so TDRs offered reasonable economic use and mitigated the regulations impact. So the TDRs actually are a valid mitigation tool to avoid taking claims under zoning or landmark laws. So I think I can end there. This is quite intimidating, diba? Because it uses jurisprudence of the US. Anyway, I have to say good night. Nag-blink na naman yung aking iPad, but at least we were able to get through all this up to 40. For those who have not heard yet the explanation of prior problems, you can access anyway Zoom recording so that you can still listen to my explanation of the other items. But this is just 50 items anyway. After the 50 items, and we will go back to Philippine setting. Okay, just this one to strengthen your critical thinking skills. So kapag malagpasan natin ito, the strategies that will be used here, because this is also being done in the licensure examinations for environmental planners, that they don't only give Philippine context. They also give foreign context, like especially US. Okay, and I don't want you to be surprised. I don't want you to feel disappointed. We did not do this. Parang ganon, in the review. And I want you to, I want to expose you in problems, lalo na American planning. You can draw from the, you can draw your, we can draw good insights from these problems, okay? And especially so that when you decide in the future that you also want to be part of, US planning, and you can take AICP also, okay? So tomorrow we will continue, Jen.